All right, let me crack this Guinness, which, despite that it should be apparently best enjoyed poured into a glass, I'm going to drink it out of the can. So, Aaron Gobra Schlancha. What better beer to have when talking about the perhaps quintessential Irish band U2? So today I'm talking about U2. U2 is all over the airwaves, all over the news. Bono's got his new memoir out, Surrender, which is it's good. It's got its moments and it's got its points where it drags, but it's good. If you're into U2, it's definitely worth a read. They've got their new album out, 40 Songs of Surrender, reinterpretations of classics. There's some really good remakes on there, and there's some that are just kind of meh, but some really good stuff on there. And I guess it's really selling well, doing well for them. Bono's on a book tour. And interestingly, U2 are going to be doing a Vegas residency based around the album Achtung Baby, their 90s opus. They are doing this without Larry Mullen Jr., the drummer. He's had surgery. He's going to sit this one out, but they are doing a residency in Vegas in some crazy new dome. But welcome to the Albums That Saved Us. We're back. Thought it was a good time to come back with U2's Achtung Baby. In my opinion, by far, Achtung Baby's U2's best album. Was a time of reinvention for them. A lot of people think I'm crazy. A lot of people think Joshua Tree is their best album. Joshua Tree is a great album. It's a classic album, and it may be their best overall, but it defined the band. After that period, they kind of had to go away and take some time and reinvent themselves, and they came back with Achtung Baby. Joshua Tree came out. They were the biggest band in the world. They were on tour. I remember when they came through San Diego, I had friends that went and saw them, and I liked some of the singles. I tried to get into U2 at the time. I tried to get into U2 earlier on, and I liked some of their stuff. I remember seeing the Red Rocks show on Night Flight, but everybody was into them. They were the biggest band in the world. They toured. And, I liked some of the singles, but they weren't one of my favorite bands at the time. And, Joshua Tree was good. I had it, I liked it. But then Rattle and Hum came out. So that was a movie and an album that was kind of recorded from the Joshua Tree tour. And for some reason, that one really hit me. I really like Rattle and Hum. I liked the singles off of there. It was a very Americana album. I like some of the singles off of there. I like the live versions of the songs. I really, really liked the movie when it came out, even though it was considered super pretentious. I loved the new tracks. I loved Desire. I loved Angel of Harlem. I loved When Love Comes to Town. And I just loved the movie, and I loved the huge live feel of this band. And they toured after Rattle and Hum. They did some tours where they started playing those songs, most notably a tour in Australia. And they recorded 3 shows. Well, they live cast 3 shows on the radio. And I recorded 3 of them off of San Diego's 91X on cassette tapes. And those shows were amazing. Varied set lists every night, great versions of the track. I was really falling in love with them as a live band. I listened to these cassettes over and over. But the funny thing is I'm just starting to get into these guys. At the end of the last show, Bono comes out and says, "We're taking a break. It may be a while. We don't know when we're going to be back. We don't know if we're going to be back." That's paraphrasing, something like that. But basically, I just really started getting into this band, and Rattle and Hum came out in 88, and they were touring. This was January 1990. So I just starting to get into these guys, and now they say they're going to take a big break. So it was a bummer. I still had my live shows, and I started to get into some of the earlier stuff a little bit, but it's still a little spotty for me, even the earliest, more rocky stuff. And again, this was before social media. This was before you could instantaneously get band news. Be like, you'd have to see something in the Rolling Stone, or you'd have to catch something on the radio, or you'd have to see something on MTV News. A lot of times you might not hear about a new album and you go see it in the store, in the record shop. Basically, they got a lot of grief for Rattle and Hum, the movie, the album. A lot of critics, a lot of people said it was pretentious, over the top, and they were overexposed and too much, because they became huge during the Joshua Tree tour from there. And they said that this was their Rattle and Hum was kind of their love letter to American music, Elvis, blues, rockabilly, things like that. During this time of reinvention, they went to Berlin. I'm sure they started writing songs earlier, but they went to Berlin, got together with Daniel Lanois, whatever it is, Lanois, I think it is, and Brian Eno, and just kind of started reinventing themselves. And they'd worked with these guys before on different albums, even on Joshua Tree, Unforgettable Fire, had some big experimental sounds. In my opinion, they tried different things. They leaned into alternative rock a bit. They leaned into even some industrial music sounds and some dancey sounds. And they came back pretty much a new band, a new look, a new sound. And with that, Achtung Baby album. The first single was The Fly. I remember hearing it on the radio. I was driving around I was a medical specimen driver. So I would go pick up medical specimens and I would listen to the radio while I was driving around during the day. And I remember October 1991, 91X again, Mike Halloran, and he said it sounded to him like you two were very Cramps-esque. And I thought that was interesting. And I loved that song. I loved that song, The Fly. I was like, this is amazing, new direction, raw, gritty. I really just loved the song, The Fly. Then the next single came out, and it was good. Mysterious Ways, a little dancey, a little different direction. I think they were trying to show, a variation of what was coming on the album. And I think after that was when the album came out. But there were 3 other singles that kind of really ran the spectrum of the album. One, very mellow song, but that's a lot of people's favorite U2 songs. Good song, great song, not one of my favorites. Even better than The Real Thing, very Achtung Baby-esque. Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses? Another one kind of Achtung Baby-esque. I got the album right away, liked it, listened to it, liked every song. The opener, Zoo Station, was great. And right away, I don't know if they were already touring or it just seemed like right after the album came out, they started touring. They started the Zoo TV tour. It was so interesting because it was unlike any other tour. It broke a lot of ground. It was this huge multimedia extravaganza with huge video screens, with cars and lights and just stuff that had never been done before. And, they would do stuff like nightly phone calls from the stage to the White House or politicians or, things like that. The most interesting thing they did is they came out on this tour with this album they just released, a complete reinvention of themselves. And they were so confident in these songs that they came out and the first 8 tracks were songs from the album. They got some grief for it, but it's also like with the caveat is the songs are great and they sound great live. So this is a ballsy move, but they're doing this. And then as awareness of the album built, people knew the songs more, liked the songs more. I saw that tour in San Diego. The Pixies opened. It was an amazing show. I loved it. Made me a bigger fan than ever. Demos leaked of the Achtung Baby sessions. And it's like, my opinion is that somebody let them slip out, but I did buy a couple bootlegs of these leaked demos, and I liked where they was going, and I liked the direction. They were good. And the singles came out, solid B-sides as well. But the show was great. They kept touring and touring. And they expanded it into a bigger thing called Zoo TV Outside Broadcast, which was bigger, crazier, bigger screens, just bigger scope. And I saw them again at Jack Murphy Stadium, and the Sugar Cubes and Public Enemy opened. So that was amazing. So cool. I'd seen the Sugar Cubes before, but so cool to see Public Enemy just coming out and scaring the white kids. In that run, too, they actually recorded an album on the road called Zooropa, which was very kind of influenced by Achtung Baby. And they recorded it quickly. They talked about leaving some mistakes in, and it's good. It's got some good stuff on there, but it's not great. It's not at the level of Achtung Baby, in my opinion. And at some point, they worked some of the songs in. They had the single Numb that The Edge sang. And then, the title track Zooropa, couple other tracks on there were good, but it wasn't up to the Achtung Baby level. And outside broadcast shows were great. Again, bigger in scope, tour in the world. But Achtung Baby, it's one of those rare albums where every song is good. Most of them are great. That was kind of a thing, a bit back when albums came out and bands used to think about an album in terms of how it all fit together, how it all flowed. You don't see that now because the album concept it's just not the same. I mean, songs come out, songs are released. That concept is not as strong in music as it used to be. I love the opening track, Zoo Station. It's very industrialist. It's a great romp, great show opener as well. Great live track, Zoo Station. Other tracks on there. Obviously, I talked about The Fly. I love that song. It's kind of similar in style to Zoo Station, in my opinion. Even better than The Real Thing in One. Good songs, great songs. Until the End of the World. That was in a Wim Wenders movie. It was the soundtrack. It's a great track. I really like that one. They really mixed that one up live. That really translated well live. And as they were going, these songs evolved as well. And that's kind of what I liked about it is they'd play these live and try these different things, and they would become, different versions of the songs. Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses? Great song lyrically, really blew me away. There are some songs on here. I think Bono was going through, I don't know that he ever actually got divorced, but he's going through a tough time at the time. So there's some deep, heavy songs of loss on here. And, I was going through my angsty college years of breaking up with girlfriends, and, songs like So Cruel, Love is Blindness got me through some breakups, and they went on breakup playlists. I had a couple of girlfriends where we broke up and I made them a breakup tape, and those songs went on there. So there you go. But especially So Cruel, Ultraviolet, and Acrobat, great songs, but these songs to me were better live. Very anthemic, sounded great live, translated well, and again, kind of evolved as they went into the set. And I think honestly, most of the shows, especially those early Zoo TV shows, they played the whole album. I'm pretty sure. Trying to Throw Your Arms Around the World fits in well. I mean, it's a good album. It's a very U2 song. It fits the style of the album. But if I have to go back on Achtung Baby, my top tracks are Zoo Station, The Fly, Until the End of the World, So Cruel for those ex-girlfriends and those mixtapes, Love is Blindness again for those exes and those mixtapes. You Know Who You Are, I Doubt You're Listening. And another thing they did is they had a ton of B-sides. So they would release a single, have a couple of B-sides. A couple of those were great. Lady with the Spinning Head, Satellite of Love was a good one. They used to do that live with a pre-recorded Lou Reed that would come out on video. But yeah, during this era, I really became a big U2 fan. I started collecting their live shows. At the time, they were one of my favorite bands. I'd buy all the singles when they came out. And again, I really loved them as a live band and like that they were doing, and got a bunch of bootlegs, went back, and especially for Joshua Tree, a new appreciation, because I could see where it was going, and listen to some of the deeper tracks that I wasn't super familiar with. Even back to Unforgettable Fire, that album's got some standouts on it. And when Zooropa came out, I liked it. It had some good stuff, but kind of after that, I really started to drift. After Zooropa, they got a little poppier. They were moving in a poppier direction. And the next album was actually called Pop. Had a song on there that I like called Discotheque. And in there they did Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me for one of the Batman movies, which I liked. But it was kind of a new direction. So I started drifting even more. And I think they were drifting too. I know there's definitely some bands that I loved where I've had this thing where it's like, did they drift or did I drift? So like, Duran Duran, I drifted away from. Depeche Mode, I drifted away from. And I think with U2, we both drifted away from each other. So I should make them a mixtape with So Cruel on it, and send it to Bono direct. I get overall from here, I've liked some of the singles, like Vertigo's a great song. Beautiful Day is an amazing song. I haven't seen them live again. I've seen some shows. I have some live shows that are great. They're a great live band. I've got friends that have seen them and aren't U2 fans, but were blown away how good they are live. I think they're still a great band, and they're probably the best live band I've seen. I was happy to have seen them during that time. Happy to have seen them 2 times. And I still think Achtung Baby is their best album. And it's one of those weird things where it's hard to top a Joshua Tree. It's hard to top a phase like that too. And they managed to do it. And few bands are able to do that, just kind of completely reinvent themselves and ride some new musical waves, ride some new directions. I've always kind of considered them an alternative band, but they definitely wrote a little bit more of that music. They've always been interesting in pulling some bands out. It was great to see them with the Pixies. Great to see them with the Sugar Cubes, and of course Public Enemy. I thought that was a really bold statement of theirs, and I'm a huge Public Enemy fan. I think they're a great band, very influential. I think of them more like a punk band actually than a hip hop band, but hip hop and punk are, almost hand in hand, two sides of the same coin. Again, U2 is back in the limelight. Bono's book is good. It's worth a read if you're a fan. They've got the special, I think it's called Songs of Surrender. No, it's called A Sort of Homecoming, which is on the Disney Plus, where they are interviewed in Dublin by David Letterman. Some insightful stuff, and it's just really good, really raw, really honest, kind of good to revisit the band, rekindle the liking a bit. And that's when I went back to this new album that's out with these reinterpretations, and like some of them are great, some of them are just kind of I think they probably did too many, but I don't know if it needed to be 40 songs. Could have been dialed in a bit. I'm a U2 fan. I remain a U2 fan. I will be a U2 fan. I'd love to see them live again. I think they're one of those bands that you can see at any point and they're going to be great, but it's going to be hard for them to top Achtung Baby as my favorite U2 album. Thanks for listening to the Albums That Saved Us, and we will see you next time.